Nickelodeon's Doug is still a major source of nostalgia for early millennials who grew up in the Splat TV era. The diary-style cartoon series centered on the life of a boy in small-town Bluffington as he grappled with the typical issues of youth, from navigating an unrequited infatuation to concealing a superhero alter ego. Doug Funnie's life was both relatable and charming to watch, but what you may not know about the series is how it became so beloved in the first place, and how it hit a few major speed bumps along the way. Here's a look back at some of the things you might not know about Doug. The life of Brian. It's hard to imagine Doug as being about anyone except, well, Doug. But creator Jim Jinkins originally had another name in mind. In 2012, Jinkins told Splitsider that since the character was supposed to be a very any-guy look, he wanted to name him something completely blasé. Jinkins explained, "At the beginning, I was calling him Brian. It was sort of just a generic name. I thought that Doug had that feeling and that sound about it. It was a conscious choice because I wanted him to be this very neutral, middle-of-the-road guy." Doug's middle name, Yancey, also had some significance for Jinkins, as it was shared by his own grandfather. Doug's embarrassment over it stemmed from a very real place, as he had a childhood friend who also hated his own name growing up, much to Jinkins' amusement.
Well, hello there, Yancey. How are you today?
Doug, my name's Doug.
Adman. Jinkins' Doug Doodles originally existed as a sort of alter ego for the artist, who said he desperately needed an outlet from the real world, where problems are a lot more complicated than they are for the residents of his pseudo-utopia, Bluffington. Jinkins once explained of the character's origin, "I like to doodle, and Doug was just one of those guys I kept doodling over and over." Commercial watchers might even remember a very early version of Doug bouncing around on a pogo stick in his signature vest for a 1989 Florida grapefruit juice commercial. And he and his prized pooch pork chop were later seen in a 1990 USA Network commercial. Bluffington is real. Eventually, Jinkins collected his drawings into a book called Doug Got a New Pair of Shoes and sent a copy to a Nickelodeon executive, which led to the network ordering an 8-minute pilot episode called Doug Can't Dance. Jinkins immediately went to work creating his own production studio to make it happen. As he began developing other characters for the series, Jinkins again drew inspiration from his own life and the people he knew.
It's kind of like how I remember childhood, growing up.
Doug's love interest, Patti Mayonnaise, for example, was based on Jinkins' own childhood crush. Supporting characters Roger Klotz and Doug's best friend Skeeter Valentine were also based on people Jinkins grew up with. No instruments needed. You probably know that mega-famous voice actor Billy West, also known for voicing the title characters for Nickelodeon's popular cartoon series The Ren and Stimpy Show, was cast to portray Doug.
He was a painfully shy 11-and-a-half-year-old.
However, West wasn't the only voice actor to make a major impact on the show. Actor Fred Newman was brought on to voice some of the zanier-sounding characters, including Porkchop, Skeeter, and Mr. Dink.
Whatever. I'm Dink, Bud Dink. You can call me Mr. Dink.
Newman even ended up creating that earworm of a theme song using the simplest of tools. Of that catchy intro, Newman explained, "That wasn't Doug's voice, that was actually my voice. We wanted to use as much as we could household objects, things that a kid could have, make it sound innocent." That's right, Newman relied on his unique beatboxing and honking skills to create a lot of the sounds heard throughout the catchy intro. The Rainbow Rebuke. The title character of Doug and his family were drawn to be very obviously Caucasian, but many other characters in the series boasted rather unusual skin colors, from Skeeter's teal complexion to Roger's lime green tone to BB Bluff's purplish appearance. However, Jinkins insists he wasn't trying to make any major socio-political statements with his colorful cast of characters. Jinkins told HuffPost of the controversy over his main character's skin tone. "People are certain that Skeeter is an African-American guy. I'm like, well, he's blue. If that's how you see him, that's great. It's not a bad thing, but I never planned it. Skeeter is blue and he's Doug's friend." A network tangle. Following its original 52-episode run from 1991 to 1994, Nickelodeon declined an option to renew Doug for a new season, despite Jinkins being signed for 65 episodes. The decision, which reportedly came as a shock, was based upon some budget tightening underway at Nickelodeon. However, Nickelodeon's voluntary loss was Disney's gain, as it allowed the House of Mouse to scoop up the production rights and studio for Doug and proceed with carrying the hit show forward. The show was retooled as brand spanking new Doug, as part of the ABC Saturday morning cartoon lineup for 3 additional seasons, and spawned a live-action musical, a line of toy merchandise with fast food cross-marketing, and even a film called Doug's First Movie. A not-so-happy ending. The saga of Doug Funnie and Patti Mayonnaise never quite came to a close, leaving fans to wonder whether the green-vested gentleman managed to win Patti's heart for the long haul. According to Jinkins, the answer is likely no. He told Entertainment Weekly that he couldn't picture the two ending up together as adults because it's just not realistic, saying, "Most people don't end up with their first love." Perhaps Jinkins is merely jaded based on his own experience later in life with the real-life person who inspired Patti. In a Nick Animation podcast, he recounted his reunion with the woman in question and admitted that they didn't enjoy some sudden romance, despite his hopes that it might happen. After she reached out to invite him to dinner, Jinkins admitted to wondering if something might spark, until she said,
I want you to meet my husband.
"Sorry, Doug.